Hey, I'm Geordie, host of the Data to Deals podcast, helping brokers get more from their listings and closing more deals. Each episode dives into what's actually working right now, making your listings stand out more, to building a standout broker brand, to using AI and smarter tools to grow your business. If you're a broker looking to elevate your game, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Data to Deals podcast.
I think the key is if you're going to invest in real estate, you can never compete with your clients. So if you're selling office buildings and industrial buildings, then your focus should be on another lane that does not have you compete with your clients. Your clients don't want to compete with you. They don't want to feel like if they're seeing a deal from you, it's been picked over. So anything that I have invested in is outside that lane of my specialty.
Hi, this is Geordie with Data to Deals podcast. I'm here with Steve. How are you today, Steve?
I'm doing great, Geordie. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Yeah, maybe you could just quickly start by telling us who you are.
Sure, not a problem. So my name's Steve Timmel. I am a senior vice president at CBRE and in capital markets. So my team focuses on the marketing and sale of office and investment and industrial properties across Ohio and Kentucky.
Okay, Ohio and Kentucky. Great. And how big is your team?
We've got 6 of us.
6 of you. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So how long have you, why don't you just kind of tell me the story about how you got into commercial real estate? Let's start with that.
Yeah, sure. And look, I got into commercial real estate somewhat by accident. I wish I had a cooler story on how I got into it, but I got into this business after getting rejected on my first job interview, and that job interview was with my father. So I went to Ohio State. I graduated in 1987, and sometime my sophomore junior year, I was required to pick a major to enter the business college. And so they gave us a sheet of paper, and it had all these majors on it. And I went down the list, and on the list was restaurant and hotel management.
Yeah.
My father was a very successful franchisee of Long John Silver's, so I decided I'd call him, and I got him on the phone, and I said, "Hey, there's this major on here called restaurant and hotel management. I'd like to come join you in the restaurant business." And he gave me a very abrupt and firm no. He said, "There is much more out there for you, son. What else is on the list?" So
Yeah.
right near, yeah,
Glad that he did that? Are you glad, looking back, are you glad that he did that?
Couldn't been more ecstatic. It was really said in jest. And after he shut me down, he said, "Hey, look, if you really want to be in this business, I don't recommend it. But if you want to be in it, go do something else for 4 or 5 years, and come back and if you still want to be in this business, let's do it." But we got back to the majors list, and he said, "What else is on there?" And real estate and restaurant, pretty close in the alphabet. So they said, there's a real estate major, and he had met a young man from Duke Realty by the name of David Ottenjohn. And he said, "I'm really impressed with this young man. I think, let's try real estate." I had a construction background, so it made sense, and I checked that box. And I wish I had a cooler story, but that's it.
No, it sounds like a great story. But so essentially you've stayed in that space. Did you start off working for other people and then kind of open your own brokerage, or like how did your career sort of form?
Yeah, so my first job out of college I was actually in property management, but it was condominium management. So I was essentially an association manager, for lack of a better word, and I managed the business operations of the condominium associations all across Southern Ohio. But my stated goal was I want to be in the real estate brokerage business. And so I took that job with a firm called Chelsea Moore. and they said, hey, look, if things work out here, we understand the requested growth path, and we'll put you on it if we feel like you fit the job. So I did that from, call it 87 to 1990. And then my opportunity came to go to work on a tenant rep team doing office space, office leasing, somewhere around 1990.
Okay. And how long have you had it's your brokerage, right?
No, I work for CBRE.
Right.
It's the largest
I know
commercial real estate
that,
firm
but
in
I
the world.
mean your brokerage business. So there's six guys. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I meant.
Yeah, it's not mine. I'm the oldest guy on the team, but it is a team. So really not really don't claim it as my own, but I do get the enviable title of the oldest guy on the team.
Right. And looking back, if you could give your younger self, a piece of advice looking back, what would that be? Go back to nature. What would you tell yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I would tell my young self to invest in real estate personally from an early stage in getting into the brokerage and advisory building and advisory business. It's just I really think that nothing gives you a better perspective for what your clients are dealing with than owning your own real estate, right? It really opens your eyes to the good things that can happen, and unfortunately the bad things that can happen when you own your own real estate. I think you become a more valued advisor to your clients if you've been there.
That makes
Gives you
sense.
better
Have you done
perspective.
that? Have you done that over the years? Have you invested in some
Yeah,
property? You did?
I have.
You have, okay. And
Yeah.
so do you feel like you did that too late in your career or
I just would have done it earlier. I would have done it earlier. I think the key is if you're going to invest in real estate, you can never compete with your clients. So if you're selling office buildings and industrial buildings, then your focus should be on another lane that does not have you compete with your clients. Your clients don't want to compete with you. They don't want to feel like if they're seeing a deal from you, it's been picked over. So anything that I have invested in is outside that lane of my specialty.
okay, that makes sense. Um uh how about looking back in the sort of last three years, let's say, what do you feel like has been working for you? Has there been something like that, that you found like some traction with, some tactic or some, going to events or something? Is there something that has worked for you in the market site, and what is that?
Yeah. Look, I don't think I guess from my perspective, it's really not a tactic or, the latest trend. I think last 3 years, it's really, kind of what got you, it's what you use in all markets, up or down. It's honesty, it's transparency, communication. You got to provide relevant advice and data points to your clients, to be of value. The market is the market and the overall economy, I would say, is digesting a COVID run up where there billions of dollars were dumped in the economy. Interest rates were held low to spur activity and spur the economy. That's rightfully over. So the market's digesting overbuilding to an extent in industrial, overbuilding in apartments that you can see, and obviously coming to grips with kind of the new era of office buildings. But when the interest rates started spiking up in spring of 22, I kind of look at that as the period where the tide went out, and the market has to digest what was dumped into it post COVID. But it's always honesty, transparency,
So,
communication.
like relationship building, basically, like going back to your repeat clients and just like kind of relationship building. Would you say that that's what's working most for you?
Um, if the repeat clients, you better not have to rebuild a relationship.
Right.
I would say it's a combination thereof. You've always got to be out there pursuing new relationships, and taking great care of your existing relationships and repeat clients. That's one of the challenges of this business, is that you've constantly got to be out there, you know, generating new relationships, new opportunities, and you know the real estate market, and any market, it's a living, breathing organism, and people change, people retire, people get out of the business. So you can really never, it's just constantly changing. So you have to create value to clients across the spectrum, old, new, future. But obviously having repeat clients is key.
Yeah. So give me an example. You mentioned create value. Like, how do you create value? What's a good example of how you've done that recently?
Well, I mean, look, we create value by marketing assets, creating a market for a investment property. I think the best way you can create value, you're giving guys advice. What does the market want? What about your property needs to change to make it most valuable? So it's not just, hey, I'm going to take over this listing. And I think as you mature in any business, you qualify your clients and you qualify their asset. I want to, I'll give you advice if I tell you that this asset is not ready to trade. If there's, and here are the recommendations that I would make for you to make the asset more valuable. It really comes back to the goals of your client and their situation, right? If a client comes to you and says, I need to unload this asset because I've got another asset that I'm really struggling and I got to raise cash, then it's a question of, if you don't have time to reposition an asset, you've got to sell to raise capital, then you take it out and you do the best you can. I think it's always, the question I want to ask to my clients is, are you time sensitive or are you price sensitive? And if, depending on how they answer that question, I can give them better advice.
Okay, that makes sense. How about like sort of the next 12 months? Where do you see some of the biggest opportunities? Where are you looking for it's like, where do you see opportunities to grow or change or?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the question is maybe better asked, or maybe I would better respond to it. Are you looking to get rich, or are you looking to stay rich?
Right. So I would say stay rich then, right?
Yeah. No. I mean, they're two different answers. So if you're looking to stay rich, industrial and market specific apartment investments are likely where you put your money. Those asset groups really weathered the COVID storm very, very well. We do have some overbuilding in the apartment markets in the Southeast, that you're reading about. The industrial market hit a stall, interest related stall in spring of 22, but it's rebounded extremely well. But if you're in those markets, then you're going to be yield restricted. I mean, limited ways for you to increase your yield. But they're safe, they're secure, they're proven markets. If you want to get rich, and I'm probably biased about this, is in the office market. There is such a disconnect in the market between buyers and sellers and lenders, that's where your next generation of investors are going to create generational wealth, if they are investing in best of class assets in a down asset class. if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does, and I agree with that. Generational wealth is coming in and finding that deeply discounted or unloved assets, and as you say, office is one of those right now. But probably um,
Sure.
the the COVID hangover. What about tools and marketing? Like what do you guys like? What's in your stack? What works for you for your marketing? Because you did mention like marketing is a big value add for you. What are the tools that you like right now?
Yeah, look, I got a really good team that takes care of all that, so I don't really have to worry about that. But CBRE has a marketing platform that our capital markets groups use in really it's kind of the primary thing called Deal Flow, and that's a proprietary database our platform that CBRE uses. It's a electronic vaults, and that's really where we push all our properties out of. There's other things that we'll use that are complementary to that, as well as some very direct targeted marketing that we'll use for a specific asset. But by and large, my team takes care of that, and they make us all look good. And then, as far as relationship management, we have another proprietary system called Connector that allows us to, track our investors, the buyers, what they're doing, and really kind of gives us a behind the scenes look at velocity and activity within the investment market.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there anything that's frustrating about the space, uh, com- commercial real estate, the tools, sort of the laws, regularly anything? Is there things that you particularly get frustrated about?
Look, I've been in this business pushing 40 years. So, like I've seen my share of events, episodes, up markets, down markets. I don't get frustrated by much. Um, but look, the frustration, I would say if I had to narrow it down, the lack of available debt that's in the market and equity that's in the market, as obviously slowing the deal velocity, although that has changed dramatically, I would say in the last 24 months. And we're seeing more and more velocity in the market, and in the office vertical, we're seeing a definite spike in products coming to the marketplace, investors that are selling, and we are seeing examples of permanent non-recourse lenders come back to the marketplace. The CMBS market's going to record one of its highest years in production and probably 10 years. So I think by and large, for the right asset, CMBS is back, insurance is back, and we're starting to see some regional to local banks kind of get back into the office vertical. The rest of the pack really never left. They just got on the sidelines for a little bit in industrial, apartments and retail.
Okay, that makes sense. So I want to make sure I touch on some topics that are sort of interesting, that are new coming up, and AI is one of those. Are you seeing AI at all change? I know you mentioned you have a team that takes care of all of that, but I mean, are you using AI to make your day any more efficient or help harvest better leads or anything like that?
Yeah, I think CBRE nationally, globally is a strong adapter of AI. We're using it throughout our business models, and to make more efficient processes in what we do, from research to aggregating lease data, financial data, and the like. So look, it's another tool that's entered the market. It will flatten out the curve of repeatable task, and but at the end of the day, I don't think it's not. I'm not worried about it replacing what brokers in general do. I just think it makes our job and our members' job easier.
Right. So it's just a tool for you. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah. Good brokers adapt to changes in the marketplace and changes in technology, or they become extinct. It's just but it's intuitive. It will continue to learn. It will continue to get better. But it certainly doesn't replace the benefit of high quality, well informed, well educated, and astute advisors.
right. That makes sense. Okay. Before we wrap up, I just want to ask one closing anecdote from you. What would be your best deal or the one that you're sort of most proud of? Do you have one, anything that sticks out?
Yeah, right. Interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, interesting question. I think that look, the way I kind of look at it is deals are going to come and go, right? And so I would say that I don't look at it as I sold this much or we did this volume. I mean, numbers are great, stats are great. It's obviously what we beat our chest over at times. But I tell you the deal that I'm most proud of was a portfolio that our team sold in 2019. This portfolio was a 5 building flex industrial portfolio that we sold for 35 million. So it was a bigger transaction, but it's not the biggest transaction that I've ever sold.
Hmm.
But I think what makes me proud about it is that we really helped out a guy that needed help, and I say that it's really not monetarily, but the majority investor was or let's call him the LP, the limited partner, was an Irish investor. He was an older guy. He'd made millions in dairy farming in Ireland and in New Zealand, and he wanted to sell he wanted to liquidate his assets in the States and get into cash as he was aging and getting on in his years. He wanted to get out. He was partnered with a stateside a sponsor who was operating a portfolio, and he was making a really good living off of the asset management, the property management, the leasing, construction. So he was doing really well on this thing. And let's just say that the GP interest and the LP interest were no longer aligned. And so while but the guy wasn't doing a bad job on the property. He was doing a great job on the property.
Yeah.
But the LP wanted out. He wanted to take his money, and he said to me, he said, "Look, I am." I need to get my assets out of the U.S. and back to Ireland. I understand the GP that I'm dealing with, and and he and his tendencies, and I understand his motivations, and I can handle it. But my children and my heirs are not really equipped to handle this GP. And the GP was doing almost everything in his power to derail the transaction. I was dealing with aging parents on both sides of my family at the time. So this Irish investor's situation really kind of hit home with me. So I promised to do everything I could do to get him out this portfolio, put his mind at ease. Right? He was looking at it as he was sunsetting, and his GP wanted to stay in and continue to kind of ride the gravy train. So it became kind of a knife fight between me and the GP. But at the end of the day, we got the deal sold. The gentleman who we sold it for, the Irish investor, was very grateful for what we were able to do. And just like I said, was dealing with some aging parents that at the time, so it was really kind of hit home for me that it's not just about knocking deals out and doing transactions. The parties are nice and the closing dinners are nice, but this was one example of that I could really see that something that we were doing for a client was very meaningful to him. Getting him, back, getting his money back into Ireland, and letting him prepare for his later days.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, thanks so much for your time, Steve. I really appreciate it. I want to respect your time. So that's the end of the show. So thanks so much.
Sure. Understood. Nope. Glad to help, and great meeting you guys.
Hey, I'm Geordie, host of the Data to Deals podcast, helping brokers get more from their listings and closing more deals. Each episode dives into what's actually working right now, making your listings stand out more, to building a standout broker brand, to using AI and smarter tools to grow your business. If you're a broker looking to elevate your game, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Data to Deals podcast.